There, a quick overview of the objectives for 2004 and where we are. Now, let's take a look at where to focus. And I think it's important, first of all, to back up and look at where we've been. As most of you know, our city began on a single day. They fired a pistol, and at the end of that day, our city's population had grown from 0 to 10,000. Now think about that. We went from a spot on the prairie to a city of 10,000 people in one day. That is rapid growth. And I think our planning department is still paying for it. The citizens elected a mayor, and then they shot him. But I am proud to say that they haven't shot any of the last 34 mayors. It doesn't mean they didn't want to. Our city and our state grew rapidly in the 20th century. Remember that in 1930, our population was at the point we had 9 U.S. House members. Boom and bust since then, more bust than we'd probably like to admit, but all along there's been a healthy dose of aviation. You see that theme throughout our city's history. Tinker Air Force Base, the FAA, the Air National Guard. And the latest aviation landmark is taking place right now. Next winter, the latest round of improvements at Will Rogers World Airport will be completed. You know, I'm told we've been working on that airport for 2 or 3 years. I know it's been 20 or 30. But I know the airport employees and the construction folks out there are anxious as the passengers for those improvements to be completed. But winter of 2005, 2006, the airport will be reopened with the brand new facelift, and I know it'll be worth waiting for. Now, what's the state of the city? Well, that's not a question that's answered by the mayor. It's a question that each citizen has to answer for themselves. We've created a lot of new jobs, but if we haven't created one for you, then things could be better. We've made great strides in recruiting new positions, companies like Dell, of course, but we're also seeing our existing businesses grow and flourish. And let me assure you, more good job news is coming. In 2004, almost every job that was created in the state of Oklahoma was created in Oklahoma City. For the most part, our children live in a faith-based city which clings to long-held American values. But opportunity in this city is not knocking on every door. Not knocking on every door in every neighborhood in this city. We have work to do. And we have fewer homeless people than most cities our size, but we still have too many. We have work to do there. Now, in the city council last summer, we passed a plan that I think is going to help us unite our resources in this area so we can make a difference. And I do want to say that I'm extremely proud of our private sector's involvement and their support of our homeless issues. People are giving their time, corporations are giving their money, and one such group that I'll specifically recognize, the City Rescue Mission. Reverend Glenn Cranfield, I think, is here today. He runs a City Rescue Mission. They're doing remarkable work in this area. Incredible success stories are emerging from this and some of our other shelters. And most of these miracles are being created without a penny of governmental assistance. Sadly, we know from the experience of other cities that homeless populations do not necessarily decrease as a city's economic situation improves. And there's a painfully growing trend of single mothers that are joining the homeless population. So again, we have work to do. Our level of education is showing a healthy upswing. By percentage, we now have more college graduates than Dallas. But we still have too many high school dropouts, and a lack of education, I think, is a direct reflection on many of the social problems that we experience. We must continue to push our students to seek higher levels of education. We must continue to create educational environments that will attract quality teachers, and we must continue the recent trend of electing responsible citizens to our school boards and other political positions. We've got to create a community that supports its educational leaders because we must continue to pass our school bond elections. The great strides that we're making with Maps for Kids will only transcend generationally if the public retains confidence in its public school boards and its administrators. And at the current time, we are very blessed with a growing amount of trust between our citizens and its educators. But we have got to be protective of this critical balance of confidence. If you want someone to live in your city, whether you want to keep them here or you want to recruit them here, you must have a quality of life that is going to be appreciated. And as a whole, compared to other cities, our quality of life is outstanding. Natural resources, we have all of the fresh water that this generation will ever require, and we're actively seeking to sew up the water rights for the rest of this century. As for fresh air to breathe, Oklahoma City ranks as the second largest city in the nation that's still in compliance with the Clean Air Act. Jacksonville, Florida, Oklahoma City, 1-2 on that list. Affordable housing, we offer great value to the homeowner. There is probably no better city in America to own a home. Traffic congestion. Well, there's a trouble spot here or there, but go visit another city. Visit another city that's our size or larger. You can get from one part of our city to another part of our city with incredible ease, any time of the day. And in fact, someone told me that we're one of the few cities in the country where police actually look for speeders during rush hour. We should take pride in that. As for demographic patterns, people are continuing to move to the edges of our city. It has been that way for over 100 years. It seems likely to continue to the near future. But we are also seeing the beginning of a new trend in downtown housing. Past housing market studies have told us that there is currently a market for 6,000 plus housing units downtown. We currently only have 800. And we're about to begin a new market study to kind of determine what the new demand is for downtown housing. And I think what we're seeing is the very beginnings of a generational shift toward the inner city. With all of the investments in the streetscape projects that we have working, the work of the civic groups like Downtown OKC, and most importantly with initiatives like MAPS and MAPS for Kids, we are creating that marketplace in the inner city. We have streetscape projects in Capitol Hill and Stockyards to the south. To the north, we're working on 5th Street and 10th Street and 23rd Street. We are building an elaborate trail system that connects the inner city to our suburban rim. It is our view at City Hall that from an efficiency standpoint, the citizens of Oklahoma City are going to be much better served if we create a more densely populated city, and that's what we're trying to do. One thing I've learned in the last 10 months is that people like to write you letters. People like to write the mayor. And some are friendly letters, and some are not so friendly letters. Some are critical, and some offer a lot of free advice. I've received a letter recently that said, it's real simple, one of the shortest letters I've ever had. It said, Mayor Cornett, I hope we can develop the river. And you know, not long ago, I was concerned that we wouldn't be able to find very many people who had an idea for a development or for funding for a river project and also had the funding. I mean, an idea is one thing, funding's another, you gotta have both. And I was concerned we wouldn't be able to find all that many people that have both. But I think the question is quickly becoming, not can we develop the river, but are we going to be able to control development on the river? Because here's my concern. What we don't want to do is have river development compete with downtown development. Rest assured, there is going to be development along the river. But while we consider development along the river, we have to make sure that we don't create two downtowns. We should develop the river with projects that make sense for the river. But always remember that a city receives its primary identity from its downtown. We have seen in this city what happened a generation ago when downtown retail and businesses deserted downtown for the suburbs. We have made some important headway in that area. I ask you, let's not repeat that mistake. This is probably also a good time as any to speak on the ever-increasing attention that we give to downtown. Because I know every once in a while I run into somebody who wonders if we're giving too much attention to downtown. And I don't think we are. I think if you live in Oklahoma City, downtown is important to you. It's where the city receives its image. It's where tourists pay your taxes, which support your police officers and pay your firefighters and raise money to fix your streets. One of many examples. The Ford Center has become one of the most successful concert venues in the world. Concert goers travel regionally, if not nationally, to see top-level entertainment in Oklahoma City. That's money coming into our city that wouldn't be here without all the attractions that we put downtown. So maybe you live 10 miles outside of downtown, like I do. Or maybe you live 20 or 30 miles outside downtown. Downtown still affects you because it is the heart of our city.